Good morning. Welcome back to Facebook Live with Al and Kathy. I am Kathy.
And I'm Al.
And I'd like to start this morning just very quickly. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who reached out to me. I did have a tremendous loss in my family about a week and a half ago. And I just want to thank Ron and Diane for being so supportive. Al, you as well. Everybody here at Above and Beyond and everybody who reached out. I definitely felt all of your support, all of your love and prayers, so I just wanted to thank you very much for everybody for that. So on a happier note,
we're back.
We are back. So and I kind of just wanted to get into a little bit of how crazy time goes by quickly. So
it's amazing.
I celebrated kind of a cool anniversary yesterday. Yesterday, 20 years ago, I became an American citizen. Yay. And also, I just want to talk about kind of how the world has changed. So when that happened 20 years ago, my swearing-in ceremony was in New York City. It was in a courtroom there with about 250 other people also becoming citizens. And that day, the judge decided he was going to call us all up by name, shook every one of our hands, and handed us our certificate. It was just such a cool experience and really such a great day. And just today, 20 years later, it's so different. The world.
We take it for granted, at least I mean, I was born here, and as most of us were, and we take it for granted how special it is to be an American citizen, right? I mean, all the patriotic stuff aside, obviously we're patriotic and we love our country, but to actually choose to be an American citizen, it's pretty special.
Yeah. So that was just really cool. So that was yesterday. I can't believe it. 20 years ago. So fast.
And it's April 20th already. Let's talk about that for a second.
Right.
Wasn't it just January 2nd?
Right.
So spring is almost here.
Almost, yes.
I mean, it's officially here, but now it's actually getting warmer.
It's actually
nice.
here in this part of the country. So I have a brother that lives in Lafayette, Indiana, and I was on the phone with them last night. They had snow.
Wow.
It was like crazy. They had like an inch and a half of snow last night when I was talking to my sister-in-law.
That's just awful.
It was crazy. Like April. Couldn't imagine.
Well, we've had storms in April, and if I remember correctly, at the beginning of May one year we had a snowstorm. So I'll take the warm weather. You know, I'm a warm weather person. I do not do well in the cold, so I'm happy right now. I can wear shorts outside, even though it's 44 degrees in the morning. I'm still in shorts when I'm off.
Wow. You know? Yeah, not me. I'm not a warm weather person. I don't like the beach, as you know. Me and the sun have never been friends. I tan like a lobster.
My wife is like that.
Yeah, and you know, I grew up in cold weather climates, so I'm used to it. I kind of like the winter. So.
Well, it's related to your heritage, right? Where your ancestors are from. Northern Europe, Southern Europe, Africa, Asia. There's all different climates, and I think we physiologically become adapted to a climate. So my people are from a warmer climate, so I'm adapted to the sun. I tan right away, and I hardly ever get a sunburn, which is awesome.
Not me.
Not you, nor my wife. I get it. The sunscreen comes out, you know, SPF 100.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, that's great. Congratulations on your 20th anniversary.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. So you are gonna be my interview today.
Love it.
So, and you have an amazingly cool hobby, which
I do.
Yes. So why don't you tell us about it and tell us how you got into it and.
So you know, I was a kid growing up in Fort Lee, New Jersey, in light polluted Fort Lee, New Jersey, and I became fascinated with science and particularly astronomy. And one of my teachers lent me a book, and it was called 1, 2, 3 Infinity, and it was basically, it was a math book, and I was never good at math. I hated math, so I would kind of skim over those math parts, but I learned that all of us, everything that you can see, everything that you can touch was forged in the middle of stars. And that is amazing to me. All the calcium in your bones, all the iron in your blood came from stars. And it blew me away that that's how elements get made. So the universe only started with hydrogen and a little bit of helium. That was it. That was the whole universe, was hydrogen and a little bit of helium, until stars formed. and the stars created all the elements. And so I kind of got fascinated with science, and I jumped into astronomy feet first, and I fell in love with it ever since I was 12 years old. I bought my first telescope, or it was bought for me.
Nice.
And ever since then, I've just been hooked. So yeah.
And you have some nice. I've been to your place. I've seen your telescopes. They're really nice.
Yeah. So I have, some people. Some people collect sewing machines. Some people collect coins. I collect telescopes.
Nice.
Although I've pared my collection down to just the essentials lately because we don't have a house anymore. We moved into a condo, my wife and I. And I don't have the space for all the stuff I used to have, so I've had to trim back a little bit. But I have enough to keep me happy for the rest of my life. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, for
Very
sure.
Cool.
But of course, just like sewing machine, like my wife, when the new baby locks came out, I bought her the newest, baby lock embroidery machine a couple of years ago. Well, for me, it's the same with telescopes. When a new telescope comes out, if it's got one extra little thing, I'm like, oh, I have to have that.
You have it, of course.
I have to have it.
I totally get that. Yeah. Awesome.
So I brought some pictures of
cool.
some stuff if you'd like to see. So this is a mosaic I made of the moon, and what's really cool, moon pictures are kind of pretty common. It's not that difficult to take a picture of the moon with a cell phone camera. You can even hold it up to the eyepiece of a telescope. What I did with this picture was I did a mosaic, and it's a 30 megapixel picture, so it's a really large picture. And what's really cool about this is that hopefully this will work. I can zoom in.
I was just going to say, when you say mosaic, like, how is that a mosaic?
So what you do is you divide up the moon into squares, and you take a picture each square. You take one exposure on each square. And so this was about 25 different exposures. And as a matter of fact, you can see at the very top here, hopefully I can zoom into that, how I missed a portion of the moon here, and I also missed a portion here in my mosaic.
Oh, okay.
So this was one full night of data collection and then processing for a couple of days afterwards to get it perfect. And of course, once I started the processing, I realized I missed a couple of sections. But that's okay.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and I'm going to repeat it someday, but the idea here was that you can really zoom in and see details on the moon that
cool.
you can't really normally see just through a telescope or even just looking at the moon. So I thought that was a cool project I worked on. So that's pretty neat, right? And then I have some other pictures. Let's see if I can go back here. Let's go here. This is my current telescope.
Nice.
Yeah, straight from Japan. And then there's the moon. These are some sunspots I took a picture of. This is a couple of years ago, because right now the sun is very quiet. But a couple of years ago it was very active, and I took a bunch of sunspot pictures. Here's a picture of Jupiter with all of its moons, 4 of its Galilean moons.
Wow.
And if you look at the black dot on the lower right-hand side of Jupiter, that's Europa's, the moon Europa casting its shadow on the planet.
Wow.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Neat. Yeah. These are great pictures. You took all these?
Uh-huh.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Really nice.
There's, you can see the great red spot in this one. The famous storm that's been raging on Jupiter for 300 years. And it's getting smaller.
Wow, that's amazing.
This is 2017.
Yeah.
This was actually on my daughter's birthday.
Yeah,
My birthday present to her was I gave her a solar eclipse. So I was able to take this picture of the corona, which surrounds the sun during the solar eclipse, which was really cool. Let's see. This is
Apple TV.
Get it back on to AirPlay here. I shouldn't have closed that. There we go. This is coming up as Saturn. Took a picture of Saturn. And then we have, another one of Jupiter. And this is a star cluster. This is M13, the Great Hercules Cluster. It's about 30,000 light years away. And it's just a collection of about 1 million different stars all grouped together. It's kind of like a mini galaxy. This is a nebula called the Triplet Nebula towards the center of our galaxy. This is the Eagle Nebula. This is a famous nebula that Hubble took a great picture of. It's called the Pillars of Creation. And it looks like all those stacks of smoke, of gas, are all star-forming regions, again, towards the center of our galaxy. And this is a nebula. This is the remnants of a star that died and shed off its outer layers, just like our sun's going to do a couple of billion years from now. This is the Whirlpool galaxy. It's actually two galaxies. One is cannibalizing the other. And this picture, this galaxy is about 25 million light years away, so it's pretty far away. This is the Ring Nebula, another star that's given off its last gasps. This is the famous among astronomers, NGC 7331. This particular galaxy, the light from this galaxy left there to come to Earth about 60 million years ago, so right about the time of the demise of the dinosaurs. But if you look real close, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and this is a cool picture because if you can see these fuzzy patches all around it, all of those galaxies are called Stephan's Quintet. It's a group of 5 galaxies, and those galaxies are actually 300 million light years away.
Wow.
So even before the dinosaurs existed.
That's crazy.
That's kind of cool.
That is really
So it's
neat.
like looking back through time.
Yeah.
That's one of the cool things about astronomy. And that's what I have for you.
Wow, that was really
Yeah, some
very
cool
cool.
pictures.
Yeah, very
Thank you.
nice. And over the years now, I know I see by what's in front of you, you have kind of turned your hobby into quilting.
I did. So yeah.
Tell us how you got started with quilting and sewing.
So for sure. So I belong to a couple of astronomy clubs, and in one of our clubs, one of the I guess the leaders of the club, she's a quilter. And so we do astronomy
That's right,
quilts
and
together.
correct me if I'm wrong, I met her when we were at the show together in Vermont a
You
few years
did,
ago.
yes.
Yeah.
So we do some astronomy quilts, and we kind of compare notes and show show our group the quilts and stuff. So her name is Mary Lou. So she's inspired me. But even before I knew Mary Lou, Diane, Ron's wife, famous Diane Lindhart.
Famous Diane Lindhart, yes.
She brought me a panel from a quilt show, and she's like, "Here, I thought you might like this." I'd never quilted. I never quilted anything. I had played with the sewing machine, like to hem pants and stuff, but I never did quilting. This is going back about 20 years. So she brought me this panel, and I decided, this would make a cool quilt. So I made this quilt,
Very
and
nice,
I quilted
yeah.
it on. So at the time, I had a Pfaff 1473. And so I did the quilting and the piecing on the 1473, and then I used a Pfaff 2170 to do all these embroideries, which
Wow.
actually I made the designs in, I think it was 3D or 4D at the time. So
Okay.
this is going back a long time.
Yeah.
So that's
It really looks cool.
my first quilt.
Very
It's
nice.
starting to come apart a little bit, but we use this.
Yeah.
This is on my couch still to this day, and we use it because it's so soft now, 'cause
Yeah.
it's so old. So we wrap ourselves up in it.
It's really neat, all these different designs and stuff.
Yeah,
Very
they're all
cool.
different telescopes
Yeah.
from all over the world.
Very nice.
And then I did this quilt.
So we
more
got a
recently.
couple of, we are
Oh, yeah,
doing the
let's look at
live
some
feed
comments.
again today, so we, let's just acknowledge
Yeah,
what's
let's
going on.
see. Sure.
We got a good morning, Priscilla. Thank you for joining us. Pat Conklin, what a cool hobby. Awesome.
Oh, Linda Slocum's
Impressive.
impressed. Thank you, Linda.
Impressive pictures. The pictures really are very cool.
And Laura said, "You're so interesting, depth of being. Fantastic surprise." Oh, nice.
Very
I'm
nice.
glad we were able to
Yeah.
surprise you.
Yes, and Lois, good morning, Lois. Thanks for joining us again.
Good morning, Lois. So the idea here is to just talk about other things other than just sewing, or because we've been doing projects together
Yeah.
this whole time with using AccuQuilt and using embroidery. We did that fantastic embroidered quilt, which was a
Absolutely,
lot
yeah,
of fun.
that was neat.
So and then this quilt I did on the Baby Lock Solaris.
Yeah,
and
this was really cool how you did all this.
This is all the planets and the asteroids and the asteroid belt, and I even included Pluto. Even though they said Pluto is no longer a planet, I included it because I had to fill up the last block. So all of these designs are appliques, and I created the designs in the Baby Lock Solaris. So using the templates that I got from Google Images, I brought them into the Solaris, and then I created the placement stitch, the tack down stitch, all of that on the Solaris. So that was a lot of fun. It's a great project to do. And then so that's a couple of things. And I'm still working on that other quilt that I started with the couching stitches.
Oh, right, I
Yeah,
remember that.
eventually I'll
Yeah.
get that done and I'll show that.
Well, now you have to, right?
Now I think I
Now
have
you have to
to,
hold
yes.
yourself accountable.
Yes, I think so,
So
that's
we need to
correct.
show it another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
So yeah, so the Solaris for me is amazing. What you can do with that machine. You know, and I think it sometimes gets underutilized, but if anybody has any questions on how to do the appliques and stuff, I'm glad to show you. It's such a simple process. And I've shown, you know, a lot of our customers how to do it, but if you don't know, and if you're interested in Solaris and how it works, please give us a call. We'd love to show you.
Yes, and there's so many, I mean, there's just so many things that you can do with that machine. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But you can personalize, you can be creative.
You can.
It's not just, you know, buy, design, and stitch it out.
Right.
You can make your own stuff, which
You can.
is awesome.
And one of my favorite things that you can do on those machines is you can actually take a picture of an image, like of a child's artwork or anything, a letter, a signature, and you can take a picture and send it, you know, via Wi-Fi to the machine, or with the Solaris and some of the, like the Destiny, you can actually scan into the machine, and then you can turn literally handwriting into embroidery stitches and stitch it out. I just find that fascinating. I think that it's such a cool feature.
When they came out with that app where you can send it via Wi-Fi, my first instinct was, well, why? Because I can scan it. Until I used it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It's so much easier because
is.
you literally take a picture of something, hit send, and it's on your machine.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no scanning. You don't have to
Right.
use the scanning
You
bed.
don't have to wait.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's really pretty,
So
very
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, thanks everybody for
Thank you.
joining us again. This is another good session.
Yeah.
Next week, join us when we have the fabulous Diane Linhart is going to be our special guest.
I can't wait to ask her. I've got a zillion questions for her on how she got started sewing and how
Yes.
her and Ron started the business. And she's going to, I know some of the history. I know a lot of it, but she's
Yeah.
going to fill us in
It's
on the
going to
details.
be a lot of fun. It's
gonna be fun.
never boring when Diane's here.
That's
She's
right.
awesome.
That is so true.
join us next Wednesday at 9:30.
Thank you so
All
much
right,
for being with
thanks.
us.
Take care.
Bye-bye.